Okay, if you're watching this video, then you must have missed class last time when we started geometric sequences. Here's what you missed. We did a skill check. That is on my next slide. You need to sit down and do that because those kind of questions are what you'll see on your quiz. I did answer any questions on worksheet number 2, those bottom ones where you had to finish on from 11 on. You did miss a pairs check. Swing by and I'll give you a copy of that also. You'll need to pause the video sometimes and take notes over what's called a geometric sequence. There is a formula that you will need to add to your note card. And then your assignment was to finish worksheet number 4. There's 20 problems on it, but once you're done with the video, it should be pretty easy. Right there's the skill check. So you'll need to write that down, get that done for me. I'll look it over and make sure it's right. And then you also did miss a pairs check. So I'll need to get that in your hand so you'll also get those points. But bring out your notes and then take some notes on it. I'll let you know the important things to write down. The information on this slide you really don't need to write down. It's just some terminology on things, how I'm going to represent them. I'll let you know when the important things to write down, and I'll pause a little bit. I've been told I go a little too fast on my videos sometimes. But here's what we got going on. What I'm going to do is make sure you understand the difference between an arithmetic sequence and a geometric sequence. These are called sequences because they're a set of numbers separated by commas. If it was a series, then you would see that set of numbers separated by an addition or subtraction sign. It's arithmetic because we are adding or subtracting the same number every time. Notice I'm adding 7, adding 7, adding 7. The terminology you'll be familiar with. A sub 1 is still 6. A sub 2 is still 13. D for difference, in this case, it's 7. Notice in a geometric sequence, it takes to go from 2 to 6, 6 to 18, 18 to 54. You could assume it's arithmetic. But to do that, 2 plus something is 6. That something must be 4. If I added 4 again, I'm not at 18, so it's definitely not arithmetic. So it's geometric. It becomes geometric if we're multiplying or dividing. Now, I won't use the word dividing in here because when you divide by 2, that's the same thing as multiplying by 1/2. If you divide by 3, that's the same thing as multiplying by a third. You divide it by 5 times 1/5. Terminology is a lot the same. I use G for geometric, so G sub 1 is still 2. G sub 2 is still 6. Whatever you're multiplying by is what our R is. R stands for ratio. So in this case, to go from 2 to 6, 6 to 18, my ratio is 3. If you ever can't see the ratio, you could always find it by going the second term divided by the first term. Now, you don't need to write down these examples on this slide, but just some easy things. We did this when we did arithmetic. I'm going to tell you that G sub 1 is 2 and R is 4. What does that mean? That means my first term is 2. For you to get the rest of my terms, I need you to multiply by 4. 2 times 4 is 8. 8 times 4 is 32. 32 times 4 is 128. I listed the first 4 terms. On my second example, G sub 1 is 3, so I know my first term is 3. My R value is 2, so I'm going to multiply by 2 every time. So that becomes a 6, a 12, and a 24. One of the hardest things today, though, is I'm going to have you leave some answers as fractions. Well, if you do that, G sub 1 is 1/2, so I'm going to write down 1/2. Now, my R value is 3. Off to the side, I'm going to show you how to multiply fractions. I'm going to go 1/2 times 3 over 1. Well, to multiply fractions, just multiply straight across. 1 times 3 is 3. 2 times 1 is 2. So my next term must be 3 over 2. Now, I need to take 3 over 2 times 3 over 1. Well, we'll do the same thing. 3 times 3 is 9. 2 times 1 is 2. So my next term must be 9 over 2. Now I'm at 9 over 2. To multiply by 3, I'm going to go 3 over 1. 9 times 3 is 27. Over 2 times 1 is 2. That's how we leave things as fractions. But that's how we handle it if I give you a first term and an R value. R for ratio, which means multiply. If it was arithmetic, I would have said A sub 1, and I would have gave you a D value. You don't need to write this down, but we're going to come up with a formula based off this. So watch how I do this. On here, my B sub 1, which I could also call G sub 1, is, in this case, 2. How? Well, because we had to start somewhere. It's also G sub 1. My second term, which I could also call G sub 2, is 6. How did we get that? We took that 2 that we started with, and then we multiplied it by 3. My value of my third term, which I could also call G sub 3, would be 18. How did we get that 18? We took that 6 from above and multiplied it by another 3. My value of my fourth term, which is also G sub 4, is 54. How did we get there? We took from above the 18 and multiplied it by another 3. Based off this, though, I'm hoping you see a little pattern. I can find the value of the 10th term, which is also G sub 10, if I just think through this a little bit. Notice this, if you would. My second term had 1 3. My third term had 2 3s. My fourth term had 3 3s. How many terms will my 10th term have? I'm hoping you catch a pattern. It would have 9 3s. I would still have a 2 that we started with earlier, but then I would have a 3 9 times. And then we could run that through our calculator. For the value of any term I want to look at, here's how I'm going to attack it. I know there would be a 2 in there. I know there would be a 3 in there. Notice that 4 had 3, 3 had 2, so I would have it n minus 1. What I need you to do here is think about this, then I'm going to pause for a second and let you write this on your note card. But here's a formula. G sub n equal. A formula to find the value of any term that we want to talk about as long as it's geometric. Notice the 2. The 2's in all of these. Also notice the 2 was our first term. So I'm going to call that G sub 1. Times. Notice the 3. The 3's are in every term. Notice that's my R value. So my formula so far is G sub 1 times R to the n minus 1. Here's a formula that you can write on your note card. So I'm going to scroll to the next slide because I also have it on there. So here's what I need you to do. And then I'll pause for a second, which seems weird to me doing this on a video. You should already have these two formulas on your note card. They're arithmetic sequences in the arithmetic series. If you would, write this formula down. G sub n equal G sub 1 times R to the n minus 1. And title it Geometric Sequence. I'll give you just a couple of seconds there to get that written down on your note card. And then I'll come back and show you how to use it. You'll like the geometric sequences because they are easier than an arithmetic. I got some easy examples to click through. Take notes on them. Hopefully I don't go too fast. But here goes. If you would, write that example down. 5, 10, 20, 40, ... One of the key things for this unit is this. You have to be able to look at this and know if it's arithmetic, or if it's geometric. You have to be able to identify that. I'm going to assume for just a second it's arithmetic. To go from 5 to 10, I would have to plus 5. If I added 5 again, though, I'm not at 20. So this cannot be an arithmetic. To go from 5 to 10, 10 to 20, it looks like I'm multiplying by 2. I'm also going to give you a little shortcut. You might also put this on your note card. If you would like to find your R value and you just can't look at it, your R is simply your second term divided by your first term. So in this case, 10 divided by 5 is 2. So if you'd like, put this right here on your note card. R equal G sub 2 over G sub 1. And I would put that right by your geometric sequence formula. This one's easy. But later on, I'm going to trick you out with some decimals, some fractions. But here goes. Here's our formula. G sub n equal G sub 1 times R to the n minus 1. Watch how easy this becomes. I need the G sub n and an equal. G sub 1 is my first term, which is a 5. I'm going to put this in parentheses because that's how most of your calculators operate. My ratio is a 2, and then every time I got that n minus 1. There's my formula. Stop there. Do not call this 10 to the n minus 1. That's a no-no, because they're not the same. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, exponents first. Now to figure out the 9th term, here's what you'll type in. G sub 9 is going to be equal to 5 times 2 to the, plug a 9 right there, and do that in your head. 9 minus 1 is 8. You will now just type this in your calculator. 5 times 2 caret 8, or 5 times 2 y to the x 8. What most of you should do is type it like this. Go 5 parentheses 2 parentheses 8. No matter what you type in, though, you should get an answer of 1,280. That's the value of the 9th term. But here's the formula. The formula must have that n minus 1 in there. Here comes another example. Write it down if you think you need to. If you don't need to, then that's A-OK too. You got the video, you can pause it, do what you want. But the formula, once again, G sub n equal G sub 1 times R to the n minus 1. My formula, G sub n equal G sub 1, which is 4. And whatever it takes to go from 4 to 12, 12 to 36, if you don't see it right away, R is 12 divided by 4, which is 3. So I got 4 times 3 to the n minus 1. There's my formula. That's all there is to it. Don't simplify that because it can't be simplified. Now to come over here and figure out G sub 10, it will look like this. G sub 10 is equal to 4 parentheses 3. Plug in a 10 right there. 10 minus 1 is 9. We'll run that through our calculator. 4 times 3 caret 9. And you should get 78,732. I'll speed the calculator part up because I don't want this video to take forever. But that's how it is. That's all there is to this. My next example looks like this. 6, negative 12, 24, negative 48. Anytime your signs flip-flop, positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative, there's got to be a negative number involved. So my formula, once again, G sub n equal G sub 1 times R to the n minus 1. My formula now looks like this. G sub n equal 6. I need my R value now. So R is equal to negative 12 over 6, which is negative 2. So that's my R value, to the n minus 1. Do not put a 10 in here yet. If you do, then you're finding a number and not a formula. So that's my formula. Now to get my answer, I'm going to go g sub 10 equal 6 times negative 2 to the 9. And then I didn't bring my calculator on this one, but it looks like that'll probably be 3,000 or 3,000 and half of 144, 72. You might check my math on that one. And it's going to be negatives. I knew it would be negative because a negative number to an odd power is negative. So negative 3072, I believe. You might have to check my math on that one. Here's my next example. My formula, I'm going to pick the face up. G sub n equal G sub 1 times r to the n minus 1. My formula then, G sub n equal 1,000 times, if you can't see your r, watch what I do. R equal 500 over 1,000, which is either 0.5 or 1/2. I'll let you use either. So I'm going to plug a 1/2 right here to the n minus 1. Notice, guys, every time I'm just saying n minus 1. Now to get my answer, g sub 6 is going to be 1,000 times 1/2 to the 6 minus 1 is 5. You can have a lot of different answers. My favorite answer is this, 125/4. That's the answer that I like the best. I would even take 31.25, I believe. 31 1/4. All of those are equivalent answers. But formula, answer. Another one that looks just like it. My formula, G sub n equal my G sub 1, which happens to be 8. If you can't see your R value, R equal 4 over 8, which is again 1/2. So there's my R value, guys, to the n minus 1. There's my formula. To figure out the 7th term, G sub 7 equal 8 times 1/2 to the 7 minus 1 is 6. If your calculator can handle it, this would come out to be 1 over 8. I'm going to assume that you can figure out your calculator. If you can't, I will teach you how to run those through your calculator. But type them in and we should be good. Another one looks like this. I've only got a couple more of these. G sub n equal, if you got this down, you can fast forward the video, 999 times, oh boy, that looks hard. But to get my R value, R equal 333 over 999, which is 1/3. If you need to in your calculator, 333 fraction key 999, and it'll tell you it's 1/3. If you ran it through your calculator, you're going to get 0.333333333, which is one of those decimals I expect you to know it's 1/3. So 1/3 to the n minus 1. If you run this through your calculator correctly, G sub 9 is going to be 999 times 1/3 to the 9 minus 1 is 8. Some of your calculators can handle this. If it does, 37 over 243. If your calculator can't handle that, write down this problem. That way I know you've watched the video. And then come in and I'll show you how to use your calculator to help get that. We got help just a little bit though. Here's going to be my last one of these, and then I need to show you one other little thing, and then I'll be through with my video. Well, once again, G sub n equal G sub 1, which is 8. That was pretty dang easy. I know I need some R value, and I'm going to have an n minus 1. I don't quite see this R value though fast. So my R is the second term divided by your first term, which is 6 divided by 8, which is 0.75. So I'm going to plug 0.75 right there, and I got my formula. Let me come over here. G sub 10 is going to be 8 times 0.75 to the 10 minus 1 is 9. This answer comes out ugly anyway. So I'm going to round, so I'm going to use approximately 0.6007. Notice I told the world that I rounded, and notice please guys that every time I have an n minus 1 in my formula. Okay? I've got 2 more examples. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do this. We've done some similar to these. So write this down while I blab just a little bit. We've done some very, very similar to this, but the ones we've done earlier was inserting arithmetic. So of course we used the arithmetic formula. I will have to tell you if I want it to be arithmetic or geometric. In this case, I want it to be geometric, which means you're going to find some number. And we're going to go 2 times that number to get another number. And then times that number again and again, and hopefully we hit right there. Here's how we attack these. And I've only got 2 examples, so pay very close attention. Since it's geometric, I'm going to write down my geometric formula. G sub n equal G sub 1 times R to the n minus 1. A lot like our arithmetic, G sub n is our last number. So I've got 512 equal, G sub 1 is my first number, 2. I'm looking for my R value. Here's how we take care of that n minus 1. I'm working with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers. 5 minus 1 is 4. Now we solved these the second week of school. And I know what you're thinking, hey, Mr. Harris, I don't remember what we did last week. And I understand that. But here's how we solve this. I need to get the R to the 4th by itself. So I'm going to divide both sides by 2. So I now get half of 512 is 256 equal R to the 4th. Now here's what we do to get rid of this 4. To get rid of this 4, I'm going to take 256 to the reciprocal of this. Since you see a 4, I'm going to use a 1/4. Now at this time, I need you to check your calculator. I'm going to go 256 caret 1 fraction key 4. Run that through your calculator real fast and see if it tells you the answer is 4. If it doesn't, if it tells you 64 is your answer, what you need to do is put this part in parentheses. When I type this in my calculator, I have to go 256 caret parenthesis 1/4. So I'm going to pause just a second. This is my next to last example anyway. But run 256 to the 1/4 in your calculator. If you get 4, you know how to use your calculator. If you don't, put this in parentheses and get that figured out. But I'm going to multiply by 4 every time. So 2 times 4 is 8. 8 times 4 is 32. 32 times 4 is 128. If I multiply by 4 one more time, I hit that, so I know I'm good. So I know I got that problem right. If it doesn't hit, then we messed up somewhere. I got one more for you to write down, and then I'll say a couple of things about your assignment, and then I'll be done. But if you would, write that one down, so you got another example. I got 5, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 blanks, and then negative 1, 2, 1, 5. And then here goes the math of it. It's geometric, so I'm going to go g sub n equal g sub 1 times r to the n minus 1. Let's fill in what we know. G sub n is negative 1, 2, 1, 5 equal g sub 1 is 5 times r to the, now go count your numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 6 minus 1 is 5. What I need to do next now is I need to get this r to the 5th by itself. Divide both sides by 5, and I get negative 243 equal r to the 5th power. To bring this home, I need to take 243 to the 1/5 power. I see a 5, so I'm going to use a 1/5. If you get an ugly decimal around, if you get any kind of ugly decimal, you're going to be wrong somewhere. If you run that through, you should get negative 3. So take just a second. Make sure that you can run this through. Like I said, I have to type it like this. 243 caret parenthesis 1 divided by 5 parenthesis equal or enter in my calculator. So I'm going to multiply by negative 3 every time. 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. Negative 15 times negative 3 is positive 45. 45 times negative 3 looks like negative 135. Negative 135 times negative 3 looks like positive 405, I think. Check my math. And if I multiply by negative 3 one more time, I need to get that. And 405 times negative 3 is negative 1215. So I know I'm right. Okay, guys? That's how we handle what's called a geometric sequence. On your worksheet, it's not bad. I know there's 20 problems on there, but on 1 through 6, I'm giving you g sub 1, and I'm giving you an r value. All you do is you write down g sub 1 and multiply by whatever I give you. So if I give you g sub 1 is 3 and r is 2, you're just going to do this. 3 times 2 is 6. Times 2 is 12, times 2 is 24, done. Move on to the next problem. On 7 on, though, I need to see 2 things. I need to see a formula, just like I did on every example, and then I need to find the value of the 8th term, the 10th term, the 20th term, whatever it is. But your answers might look something like g sub n equal 5 times 2 to the n minus 1. That's a formula. So I need to see that as then your answer. Okay? Hey, the video is 29 minutes. Hopefully it made sense to you. The good thing with it, if you understood it, you could stop it and fast forward it. But watch the video. If you have any questions, get in. You missed some things last time, so I need to get you caught up. Spring is in the air. School is almost over. I can't let you slack. So hang on to that. Make sure you have picked up worksheet 4 from me, and you should be good to go.